coverage of the World Cup final. We start with a knockout sprint. It's the first of 4 races this weekend, coming to you from Prague in the Czech Republic. We've already had the qualification and quarterfinals of this knockout sprint earlier this morning, and we'll be bringing you live the semi-finals and the final. All of the athletes have been getting to the quarantine in this area. There's a planetarium, there's a convention centre. Anyway, it's pretty good conditions for a sprint, 16 degrees, very light winds, and humidity is not too bad either. Excellent sprinting conditions, and for, of course, watching the athletes going around this area. This is the planetarium that they will be visiting on the courses, on the semi-final courses, where we've already seen the athletes having to, as I said, to do the qualification early this morning and then doing the quarterfinal in a mostly area of parkland. And this is what this fountain looks like from the runners here. There are a lot of steps on the course, and it's a great place for spectators where they can, there's lots of dance shows and fountains and stuff going on. But this is actually some pictures, I think, from earlier this morning in the quarantine for the qualification and for the quarterfinals over in a park further west of where we are right now. And it was very, very tight racing. Some of the, I think, Heat B on the women's, all the runners were within about 50 seconds of each other, and only the top 12 on each heat went through. So it was the top 36 went through to the quarterfinals. And this is what it looked like for the quarterfinals. You can see Lena Strand going off there on the left-hand side, won her heat. And this was the first quarterfinal. And as we saw there, they had a separate place for the start. That's because they had, for the first time, maybe you see it now again, for the very first time, they had this runner's choice to choose their own forking system. So here they have different maps with different forkings. They get 20 seconds to choose. And once they pick, they can't go back and change. But for sure, the organizers, they don't want that they know from each other what they choose. That's why we have these walls on the left and on the right side. So they choose their own forking. No one else to blame. Yeah, so you see here Galina Vinogradova from Russia looking at A, B and C there, and it just has 20 seconds to choose the one. You put it there and then you start off heading out into the terrain. And that was, Vida got a very fast start on that. That was quarter-final 2. So I suppose on these knockout sprints, the orienteering really starts before the start beep, before you actually begin your course in those 20 seconds. But we were talking about it. It's so difficult to choose in just 20 seconds which route is the best from 3. I mean, it's difficult to just, if you have all the 3 different options on one map, but of course they don't have it on the same map, so that makes it even more difficult to compare. So I think they don't really go for comparing the different options. They more go after how easy is it to execute, which one do I think suits me best. 20 seconds is not a lot of time if you start to try to remember where the controls were on the A map and take it down to the C map and have to compare without having it printed on the map. I think it's very complicated, and 20 seconds, it's not enough. So I think you choose whatever you think is easiest to execute and looks the best on the first view. Yeah, but of course something can look really short on the map, and actually you have to double back or go much longer way around, or it's a harder control in itself. But I think that's something you would try to avoid, this backing out from controls, because that makes it very hard to compare to each other. So I think you try to avoid that. That's exactly the thing you can. I mean, if you have the tactics from the beginning that you wouldn't like to do that, just because it makes it more difficult. I mean, it's quite clear that there won't be any option half a minute faster than the other one. So if you
I mean, if you can avoid to lose 5 seconds by doing some, by having uncertainty, like insecurities, but just picking the easiest one to execute, then you probably do it. But at the same time, we've seen it in the morning. 5 seconds is a lot, and actually we had some quite big differences, especially in the men's race on one of the options. So you really can lose time there, and once you lost time, it's hard to close the gap again.
But if we're thinking about the women's races, there weren't too many surprises in terms of what we saw in the qualification and in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, I also think that the options in the women's race, they were closer to each other. There were not as big differences in the 3 different options. That's one of the reasons. And then I just think that in the men's class, there might be the physical level is more. Like they're more at the same level. They're closer to each other than in the women's class, and then it's really about the technique. You can lose a lot of time and without being able to close those gaps again.
Yep. So in the women's, I think the only major name that hasn't featured has been Natalia Gempler, who was disqualified in the qualification round. Other than that, it's pretty much what we would expect, and we saw Judith Vida lay down an impressive mark. She was 15 seconds faster than anybody else, not just on her heat, but on all the heats combined.
That's a good run. We also had other very good. I mean, the whole Swedish team performed very well in the women's class. But as you said, it's not a big surprise there. I mean, still those runners, we usually have like 5 runners, or in the women's class maybe 7 runners going for top 3. All of them I think we have in this semi-final here, more or less. Of course, my Alm isn't here. Gempele is out, that's the surprise you named. But otherwise, everything is still open, and I'm sure we'll see some excitement here.
I'm sure we will. So then after the women's quarterfinals, we saw the men's quarterfinals head off. They were starting at a 5-minute interval, so results are coming in thick and fast at the finish. And again, we had a few people disqualified after the qualification.
Yeah, it was a pity. We had, for example, Olav Lundanes. He was really going for sprint orienteering. I think it was the first time I've seen pictures and maps of him actually going to train sprint orienteering, because he was one competition short compared to the others. He really needed this result from today. He doesn't get it now, so he's missing many points here when we look at the overall for the World Cup. That's a pity, because he had a good time in the qualification despite of this disqualification. And then you also have Emil Svensk, who missed the final, or the semi-final. Another surprise, I would say. Florian Hoval missed it.
Yeah.
Martin Drekborn. So there are some names in the men's class. But
and Tim Robertson as well. And
yeah,
that's
exactly.
possibly because of the forking he chose.
Yeah, exactly. He was actually one of these guys, as you say. He took a little bit slower option. And then he took an option. It looked short on the map, but you had to climb more, and then you had to run through the forest, which made it, of course, slower than running on asphalt. And he lost quite a lot of time. And then once you have this gap open, it's really tough to close it again.
So we can see here the first men's quarterfinal at the finish there, and with Matthias Kubert's won that one ahead of Fredo Tranchant, and actually a pretty big gap. It seems like this forking is splitting them up, maybe compared to Euro meeting in Denmark where there wasn't any forking.
For sure, it's an option. As I said, it's very hard to compare these different options to each other in only 20 seconds, and the runners, they didn't have the possibilities to train that often when it comes to this, and not in competitions. I'm sure they did it in trainings, but it's not really the same. For sure it works. It makes it kind of more complicated though to follow, but it works. I mean, we have seen them splitting up.
This one a bit more together with Øystein Karl Østerbø and Gustav Bergman and Matthias Reiner were the three across the line. 3 Austrians into the semi-finals. We also saw Jonas Leandersson ahead of Jon Åkros Osman and Marek Minar on quarter-final number 2. This was the 3rd quarter-final. No, sorry, 4th.
Also in this quarter-final we had case that both Jonas Ecker and Yannick Michels, they choose the fastest one of those 3 options, and that's where they got the gap. Yannick Michels, he was able to have the same gap all the way. Jonas Ecker, he lost some meters in the end, but still he managed, because of this choice he made, to get to the final, or to the semi-final.
And this was probably the tightest heat, the 5th heat, won by Ruslan Glibov of Ukraine, with Robert Merle in 2nd and Martin Hubman in 3rd.
And we see that William Lind isn't satisfied at all. We saw him sprinting on the last controls at the World Cup in Norway.
Yeah, he won.
So it's kind of surprised that he, I mean, there were, how many were there? 15 runners running
roughly
for the victory, and he took it. And today he went out and he had to just compete against 6 or 5 other runners.
And you could see there on the line as Daniel Hubman took the win in the final quarterfinal, Max Petter-Bäme easing off, and we seem to think the Swedes were tactically trying to place themselves in the finish if they were solidly in the top 3 to get a preferred semi-final. I.e. not the last, they didn't want the last one because the gap from the last semi-final to the final obviously being the shortest gap,
of course,
and less
you would
time
like
for recovery.
to have more time to recover yourself. And you have, I mean, you have first the qualification, then you have the quarter-final, semi-final, and now the final as well. Later on there will be 4 competitions, sprint competitions, very intense. You really want to have some recovery in between. You
really do. And I read Lena Strand's blog after the Euro meeting in Denmark, and she said she ran 22 kilometers on that one day, having run all the 4 races and got through to the final on Euro meeting. Anyway, the semi-final for the knockout sprint for the women. This is the start list for semi-final 1. Lena Strand, Judith Vida, Maja Sienoja, Alva Olsen, Tove Alexandersson and Amanda Falk-Weber. You see lots of Swedes have placed themselves into the first final.
Actually, in this first heat, I would name 3 of the big favorites for today, with Judith Vida, Lena Strand and Tove Alexandersson in one heat. But also, we know that it's only 2 runners going to the final from each heat. So
it is only 2 runners,
a tough one there.
Yep, from the quarterfinals to the semi-finals, it's the top 3, but now we've got 3 semi-finals of 6 runners each, and the top 2 only progress to the final. There's no space here for fastest losers or anything like that. It's just the first 2 across the line with all the controls. Anyway, here's the course.
And we have this first 2-3 controls, and then they have this runner's choice. When we see these 3 different options, and that's the part they get on beforehand. So we have the same system again as we saw in the morning. I think this one is even harder to decide because you have many controls here, and as more controls you have, as more decisions you have to take, and it makes it hard to compare. So it's also very hard to predict which one is the fastest. But I'm sure we'll get some indications after the first semi-final.
Yeah, and even if one is further, it's not necessarily the quickest, simply because, as you said earlier, having to back up out of controls, that really costing some time. This is a route around the fountains here, where we hope we'll see a lot of spectators, and they can head up these steps. It's Expo Center here.
Yeah, it's not very easy to understand the map here on the first view, of course. They're runners, they know how it looks like here. They got some information at the team leaders meeting. They also got some other information on beforehand, and I'm sure they prepared with Google Maps and the Street View. But I mean, we have different levels here. We will see that in the final, and it will be a challenge for sure.
Yeah, it's not the usual, I think, place if you think about all the sprint finals, mixed sprint relays that we've had. It's not the usual place that we see for sprint orienteering, but it's going to, I think, provide a really good challenge. There's also been some areas blocked off by the organisers. They've put in some tapes to mean you have to go around, which I think will cause some challenges. Means people will be having to hesitate and think twice. And there's also, when we get by the planetarium, where the athletes have the choice of which route, which legs, which forking they want to do, then it's all been marked off with tape, and it's all the olive green out of bounds colour. In theory, you could, if there weren't any tapes, if this wasn't a competition, you can run through there. It's just grass, it's just some trees, it's fine. But for this competition, and this is where I'm talking about, they've put lots of tape. Now, these are the different route choices here for the athlete's choice.
And now you see all the different choices you have to take into account when you decide that on beforehand. It's really hard to make a decision. So I think you will go for which one gives you the best feeling, which one you think is easiest to execute. And we see here the blue option is actually the shortest one. And it's about 90 meters difference from the shortest to the longest option, which is for sure some seconds. But if you just have some more turns and some... Yeah.
I don't think people will choose the green one. I think people will choose the blue or the red one. Is my guess, simply because the 6 on the green one just looks too far out of the way. But that's
I think it's very hard to predict. I mean, the green one looks very smooth. You don't have so many turns as you have in the red one. But it will be interesting to see what they choose. And now here we see 3 of the biggest favorites for today, in my opinion, in one heat, and only 2 will make it to the final.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you there. I think Lina Strand, Judith Vida, Tove Alexanderson, would be, medalists, and they're all here in this start list for this semi-final one. Only 2 runners make it through to the final, which is later this evening.
And I think Tove Alexanderson, she wants to take a good position from the start, because we have seen her quite many times struggling a little bit when it comes to real man-to-man or woman-to-woman, as it is here, decisions on the last meters. I think and we have 2 very strong finishers here with Lina Strand and Judith Vida, so it will be a tough one.
Yep, so Judith Vida is lines up number 2. Maija Sienoja from Finland was 6th in the Euro meeting sprint and 4th in the knockout, so used to being in the final of a knockout sprint. Tove Alexanderson, 7 World Championship golds. Not in the sprint though, but we have seen her running sprint at this World Championships. And Amanda Falk-Weber from Denmark.
And now we will see them go into their box and choose their option. We will get the decision they make in the graphics later on, so we will have full control over their decisions.
So this is what they see, those A, B and C. It's only a fraction of the course that they see at that particular point. It's only the section of the course that has this athlete's choice, and then they choose one of the maps and put it on their section, and then the volunteers here will scan the map and let us know which one they've decided. So that is what we'll find, A, B or C.
So let's see.
Amanda Falk-Weber's chosen
We have seen all
C.
the options now. A for Strand and Vida.
Alexanderson.
So Alexanderson, we don't know yet. We have all the options chosen yet already.
But Strand and Vida both have A, 2 of the favourites for this semi-final. And they are now off. They get the first look at the final. And once again, like the quarters, Judith Vida has had a good start from the beep. And they have to run out here to the start control and then make their first decisions. It's a long leg over to number 1 in terms of sprint, and they've really got to make a decision about which way they go. It's a sharp turn out here, but then all of them making this same decision to go up the steps and round the back of the expo building, the one you can just see in your picture. Well, they are at the moment. Okay.
I mean, you don't have to stress as much in a knockout sprint as you have in an individual sprint, as long as all the others don't stress as well. You can take your time to make a good decision.
So here you can see on the left of picture is the area that they've that the organisers have blanked out. So you have to go down the steps all the way to the bottom, and then all the way, and then along, and then down again, and then up. They can't go that. Yeah.
So now we see
this is the
some
right
of the
way.
runners make a mistake there. This is the right way here.
Yep.
We see.
So Amanda Feldweber looks like Tove as well. I think Alexanderson is.
You have 3 runners so far. Let's see how much time the others lose with this mistake. Here we get the GPS.
So yes, they have to go round. So
exactly.
Lina Strand, Maja Sienoja and Alva Olsen all making a mistake there. That's the area that they've had to avoid and go down and back up again. But Vida, she took the initiative and now has a gap over Alexanderson with Feldweber in 3rd. Lina Strand there in 4th place as they punch. This is just control number 1, and already we've seen some drama on this race.
And now it's kind of a stressful situation for Lina Strand, because she has this gap. She knows she has very strong runners in front of her, and in some way she has to close this gap again. And of course she can do it. She can now wait for the runner's choice and hope that she has a faster one. But if not, she has to take some risks in the end.
But I think if you look at her speed, she's caught up the Dane Weber there on the way to number 2.
I don't think we have the right graphics up there in the left corner. Not everyone has a.
Yeah, so Lina Strand there caught up Amanda Feldweber, but we've still got Judith Vida and Tove Alexanderson out in front. This is Maja Sienoja from Finland there in current 5th spot, and Alva Olsen from Sweden, who was 3rd at the knockout sprint in Euro meeting, is into 6th position. So back with our GPS tracking.
And now we will have to wait until the 9th control, the next common control, to actually get an indication on who is fastest here.
So it looks like Tove Alexanderson chose B.
Yeah, we have seen that the blue one was the or the shortest one. We have seen that in the graphics. So Tove Alexanderson, she has that one.
So Tove Alexanderson running, we think they're the blue route. We didn't see it exactly on the graphic at the start. Judith Vida there on the red one, but has had to go double back on herself just to punch that control there. And Alexanderson can get that high speed. And yeah, this is what this area is all taped off. It's all olive green on the map, but you just have to run all the way around this tape just to make it that bit more difficult. So, and then we can see in the background Lina Strand going around the corner, and then they'll punch this common control on the wall, and that was a collision. That's Maja Sienoja there for Finland. She's going the other way around the building into control number 8. Alva Olsen there too, and Amanda Feldweber, and I think
Lina Strand as well.
Lina Strand, yep. So everybody through this point controls 6 or 7 on the course, and Tove Alexanderson has pulled ahead of Judith Vida, and that was a good decision there and good execution of the blue forking.
And now
so that's a mistake.
Well, what is?
Yes.
Okay.
A small mistake from Judith Vida going going kind of up the stairs. She's looking for the red number 7. But this is Tove Alexanderson on her way out of control number 8/9.
But still, it seems that Alexanderson and Vida, they had an advantage, a gap down to Lina Strand. So
I'd say
it will be
so.
tough. Here we have Vida and Cianoia, and there we have Lina Strand in the background.
So just 2 more controls now for Judith Vida and Tove Alexanderson. We can't even see her ahead here, but this is the race now for 2nd and 3rd. Judith Vida and Maja Cianoia here. And what's...
There was Alexanderson coming out from the control. And now it will be a fight here for the 2nd place in the final.
Judith Vida looks like she's got a good speed. And remember, she was 15 seconds quicker than anybody else in the quarter-final. There's Lina Strand in 4th place.
And the second last and last control, they're quite easy. So I think both Lina Strand and Alva Olsson, they're too late here to make it to the final.
Yeah, these last 2 very easy controls is a test of speed, and we can just see them pass in front of our commentary position, and Judith Vida's got maybe 20-30 meters on Maja Cianoia, but the winner of this heat is Tove Alexanderson, the winner of the first semi-final. So she advances through to the semi-final, going under the 7 minutes, and then in 2nd spot, Judith Vida for Switzerland goes into 2nd. So those 2 are through, and oh, that must have been the clash with the cameraman, I think, over by the wall. So Cianoia is 3rd, and Lina Strand into 4th.
And we can see that I think Lina Strand, she lost the race there already to the first control. When she was running, she did a mistake there. She was not really prepared for this route choice. And she ran around the fountain. I think she must have lost like 6-7 seconds there, and then
if not more.
you got in a situation where you always are a little bit behind the others. You have to, in some way, take some risks, but you don't really get the possibility because of this runner's choice. You have to execute it well, and you have no idea how much risk to take because everyone has another course.
Yeah, I mean, it's so short that there aren't really any opportunities to take risk. It's mostly minimizing your mistakes, and this was a mistake.
And I think here, I mean, it's a lot of information on the map there on this particular point, and I think she was not cool enough, Lina Strand, to maybe slow down a little bit, even don't move, like just stop and try to read it.
I mean, you're talking about Lina Strand, but there's 3 of them who all made that mistake.
Of course, but she was the first one coming there of those 3, so she stopped. And I mean, she's, let's be honest, I expected her to fight for this. I didn't expect the other 2s as much for the fight for the final, so that's why I name her. Of course, the others did the mistake as well.
Yeah.
But I expected her to be the best one of those 3 doing that mistake.
High expectations on Lina Strand, who took her best result at a World Championships with 5th place in the sprint this year. So, and some good racing a couple of weekends ago at Euromeeting as well. So those were the GPS trackers for the first semi-final. We saw that one with a big lead by Tove Alexanderson, 2nd place Judith Vida. So we move on to semi-final number 2. So in Hauser, Caroline Olsen, Alexandra Enland, Jana Knapova, Denisa Kosova, and Christine Fjellinger. So the top 2 only, again, will make it through to the final, and they're at the -2 mark, so just less than 2 minutes to go until they start. And I suppose all eyes on Caroline Olsen on this heat.
Yeah, she had great results during the whole season, and she showed at the Euromeeting that she is good at this kind of discipline, the knockout sprint.
Yeah, she won both the knockout sprint and the classic sprint as well.
And we've seen her many times in this man-to-man or women-to-women decisions, and she's very strong on the last meter. So that's really a discipline that can suit her well.
Yep, we also saw Sabine Hassett there. Number 3 is Alexandra Enlund from Finland.
And then we also have 2 Czech runners here on home ground, Jana Knapova and Denisa Kosova. And also from Norway, Kristine Fjellanger.
So these are the middle 6 women to go, and top 2 only will make it through. And these are the 2 Czech women in this heat that have qualified on home soil. So they have their 20 seconds now to make their decision about which map they are going to pick up and place there. They don't have they hardly have any time, and they're seeing all these routes on separate maps. That's what makes it extra hard. They may be trying to compare this, and it's so difficult in this time. You can see Caroline Olsen there choosing A. That's the red one. I think B we saw being very fast for Tova Alexanderson, where as opposed to Judith Vida, who came in 2nd place, she chose A. So Denisa Kosova, she's gone for C. So has her teammate Jana Knapova, and then B, A and B. Only Olsen choosing A.
I think it's fair to say after the first semi-final we've seen that C might not be the fastest option.
I think that's fair to say. And you can hear the beeps counting the runners down, and they now begin their 7-minute battle to make it into the final. They too will head out to this start control here, and then they've got tricky decisions to make. We saw a lot of hesitation at this point, and it'll be up to those 2 to orientate the map. Sabine Hassett turning her body to the left and to the right, just making sure they get it correct. And we'll see what decisions they make.
There's actually an option to run around this building we see to the left here, and then you can avoid all this
up and down,
and all these details, and you would get a lot of time to read the map and prepare for coming controls. But I think we have all of the runners here, maybe.
Yeah, this is Alexandra Enlund here. And let's see if she makes this one. It's really key to get this turning left here. And, well, she's made it, so has Caroline Olsen for Sweden. And Caroline Olsen looks better. So there's 2 of them, Fjelling and Hauswert, going around the building.
Yeah, that's what I talked about. And then you can avoid all this very detailed area there in the beginning. And we get some time to prepare some controls coming later on in the course. I think that's a smart decision. We will see if it's actually faster as well, but I'm sure they won't lose a lot. They won't lose a lot of time doing that.
No, well, we'll see Hauswert come and punch. We've got a camera at control number 1. We've got cameras most of the way around this course, and we'll see who makes it there first. Well, this is the group that have gone the up and down, the more direct way on the map, and it's Caroline Olsen who is looking very strong and leading the rest of them. But let's see. So there we go. There's Sabine Hauswert punching control number 1, but Christina Fjellanger has dropped behind. So not maybe a few seconds slower, but it does give you that advantage of having to, as you said, read a bit more in advance.
But I wonder if it's not a little bit too much they lost now. I mean, it's some meters already to Caroline Olsen. Of course, you can avoid a mistake, as we saw 3 of the runners doing in the first heat.
And Enlund just makes, I think, a small mistake going down the wrong track there, and is now at the back of that group of 3. But Caroline Olsen is leading the way around now as they can punch control number 2. But Hauswert, from that position, has managed to work her way to the front of the group, and that's really important.
And now we get into this part where they have different options. And as we saw, the blue one seemed to be the fastest, at least it's the shortest one, and it looked quite good when we saw Tove Alexandersson executing that one.
So we had Caroline Olsen choosing A, then a few of them chose B, including Sabine Hauswirth there is just punching that control, and then...
And we see that Olsen is running another route choice, then or another route than Judith Wider on this red option.
I think that's a better one, because there's less turning back, I think.
It's less turning at least. I don't know if it's less distance. It's really hard to say.
Yeah, and if we've had ages to figure it out, and they are trying to figure it out in the moment, and you can see the stopping and turning around. So they'll kind of group up again at this control that we can see Sabine Hauswirth heading to now. Control either 6 or 7 on their maps, and Sabine Hauswirth just taking care to grab all opportunities she can to read the map, and then even from here there's no stopping, because you've got to make a decision left or right, and I think that hesitation from Hauswirth allowed she got into the lead, allowed Caroline Olsen to catch back up again.
Knapova. Here we have so we have the 2 Czech runners choosing that green option, and they lost time here. But we saw also that Knapova, she had some hesitation up there. But still, it seems that this green option is the slowest one. So for me, it looks like as we would have a fight between Enlund, Hauswirth and Olsson for those 2 final 2 places in the final.
Yep, well, here's Hauswirth punching that control, and there's Olsen just sneaking in ahead of Enlund. So those are the 3 fighting out for only 2 places here. And I think, well, there's another hesitation, small mistake from Hauswirth, who's must have got some good speed and chose a good leg. She chose the blue B route, which was a good one. And now all 3 of them together, they've got to go down and up again if they're going to go that way round, which is not the way we saw them go in the first semi-final. But now Caroline Olsen has pushed ahead and leading these group of 3.
It will be interesting to see how fast Enlund is on this last meters. We have seen both Olsson and Hauswirth doing very well in the end of courses. But we have never seen Enlund on the last part of a course like this. So that's going to be interesting.
And now they've got 2 more controls to go, 2 fairly easy controls, so it's about the running now. But Hauswirth has made it difficult for herself with the number of hesitations that she's made, I think. And soon going to cross, we're sitting somewhere between 10, the last 2 controls, and Caroline Olsen looking very strong. Sabine Hauswirth actually almost catching up on Olsen with Enlund behind, only still really close between the 3 of them, but it looks like the Finns going to lose out on this one. They've rounded the corner and gone into the building. Here we go. Caroline Olsen from Sweden can take the win on this one. Sabine Hauswirth is also through, and Alexandra Enlund into that brutal 3rd spot.
It was a good run of all 3 of them. I think no bigger problems there. And now they're comparing the different options they had.
So I think a good choice by Hauswirth on the options, but I think could have had a lead there, but kept making a lot of hesitations. It looked like Caroline Olsen was doing generally better with the orienteering and the planning ahead, a lot smoother. And finally, Jana Knapova and Denise Kosova crossing the line.
Tough run for the Czech runners already before the start, more or less. They chose the wrong option there. It's kind of a new thing to lose time before you even started.
Yeah, well, this is what I was saying. The orienteering starts before the actual start beep, which has so unusual. You know, we're used to not seeing anything of the map until after you start, until after the clock starts ticking. But these 20 seconds proving pretty crucial. We've seen those who've chosen B do better and actually take, even on this sprint, 5 seconds means a lot.
And here we have it, where we see that Caroline Olsson is going back from control 4. Unlike the option we have seen Wieder taking.
So Hauswirth was able to pull from maybe about 5th at control number 1 up to first place at control 6/7 just there.
I mean, we saw Hauswirth was not many seconds behind at control 1, at least compared to the second place. And we also saw some hesitation there by Caroline Olsson out from control 5. So, of course, she had a good option, but it was also a little bit hesitating by Olsson there. But in the end, it didn't really matter. Both of them into the final together with Judith Wieder and Tove Alexandersson from the first heat.
So yeah, those were the final results. Caroline Olsson just over 7 minutes, with Sabine Hauswirth 1 second behind. Alexandra Enlund, Christine Feyerlanger, Denise Kosova and Jana Knapova bring up the final 6. So we'll move on to our final semi-final on the women's knockout sprint competition. We have Martina Ruch, Anna Neri, Antonia Benjaminsen, Galina Vinogradova, Irina Nyberg and Emma Biesmo starting on this lineup. Martina Ruch there on the left of picture. And this one's a pretty open semi-final.
But if I just take this morning into account, I think I would say that Anna Neri, she looked very strong. For sure, one of the favorites for this final place in the final here. And behind, I mean, we know that Vinogradova is a very strong runner. For sure, she will be fighting for this 2 spots to the final, but also all the others. It's quite, I think, as you say, it's not as... I mean, the first heat looked really tough with his 3 runners. Very, very big favorites, but here it looks a little bit more equal between the runners. But let's see.
Yep, so that's the view that they get.
So let's say B is the fastest.
Then A, then C.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we've seemed to have seen so far in the other 2 semi-finals. Looks like C there for Antonia Benjaminsen. And we will just get a check here of what we've got.
We have B for Martina Ruch, we have C for Neri and Benjaminsen, we have B for Vinogradova and Nyberg, and we have C for Biesmo. So we have 3 runners with C and 3 runners with B. So we have...
3 choosing the best and 3 choosing the worst,
exactly.
I think. So advantage to Martina Ruch, Galina Vinogradova and Irina Nyberg, who've chosen B. Anyway, the racing properly starts now, and Anna Neri gets a good start to lead them out. But as we've seen, everyone's come to almost a standstill at the start control as they decide the route choices to control number 1. Do you go all the way around the building, or do you go up and down these steps here? Well, this group of athletes actually probably the least hesitant out of the start there, and most of them choosing to go up and down on this wiggly route.
But of course, I mean, if the first runner is going is running out fast, then all the others have to follow, because otherwise it will be just a gap. If the first one is just stopping, why not stop and take a look as well? I mean, it's not about the time; it's about first
position,
2
isn't it?
women in the finish.
Yep, and it looks like they're all going to get this section here. And they've got Anna Neri out in the front to lead the way, and has got a gap on the rest at the moment.
And she looks very strong here, Anna Neri. There's no hesitation at all. Very smooth in her orienteering. Seen the first heat with a lot of hesitation here. No problems at all for Ananeri.
Yeah, and this just confirms that they've all gone this same way to control number 1. And maybe when they get up here, they'll have some chance to look ahead at their the forked route that they've chosen. Anyway, Ananeri is a first to punch control number 1. We've also got Galina Vinogradova in there, Emma Biesmo, Andrina Benjaminsen looking good as well. Irina Nyberg is in 6th position now. Just seems to have dropped slightly off the pace. So soon we will see the effect of the forkings that they have chosen. Remind you again, we've got 3 of them with B, which is the blue one, and 3 of them with C, which is the green one.
And we see that Vinogradova is choosing to go around there to the east, and all the others more to the west. Let's see what's faster. Here we have Ananeri, Emma Biesmo, Benjaminsen, and Droog. And there's Vinogradova. So
And
it might have been a bit faster to go to the west there.
Yeah, Vinogradova drops into about 4th, 5th position.
And now we expect both of the Russians and also Martina Ruch to have a little bit faster option here on those coming controls.
But we've seen already high speed from Ananeri. But she's got the green now, sorry. There's definitely almost at least doubling back, I reckon, on this one. They're all fairly easy controls. They're very easy to execute, but just that extra distance that you've got to run is making it all that much harder.
Yeah, you more or less never have to stop and turn direction. You can just keep on running in one direction, so that makes it smoother, but still it's a difference of 90 meters. That's quite a lot. Yeah, it's about, if plain running 90 meters, let's say between, around somewhere around 20 seconds.
Yeah. Well, it's not until they get to number 8/9 that they have finished all the forking. There is one more control after the common one that they will have to change, but these are the 3 runners that chose option C. Neri, Biesmo and Benjaminsen there, but we can see this was how much quicker B was, as we can see. We've seen Vinogradova, I think, already go past the camera. In fact, they're all together. And all 6 of them back together now as they split up and make that decision. Benjaminsen a bit more hesitant off the back there. And now they have split up on their choices to control number 7. I think...
Now
So
here I would actually
green.
guess that the green one would be a little bit faster.
Because
I mean,
there's
you
no
have
steps.
one, if you're, everyone is at control 6 or 7 at the same time, and you only look at control 7, 8 there. Yeah, depending on which option you have. I think it's a bit slower to go and catch the earliest one, but we will see. It looks kind of smooth to have this one to the very right here in the picture. Ananeri and Andrina Benjaminsen are taking.
But has Biesmo actually got the control? She chose
I'm
C as well,
not-
and I'm not convinced that she
No.
got the right one.
Me neither.
Anyway, they are all together at this point, but Ananeri leads them out and now has to be very careful to... Yeah, they've all gone wrong here. Ananeri led them towards the out-of-bounds zone, and they've actually got to go down these steps and either go round the fountain or go up and down again in the way that they've done previously.
And there we've seen how many... I mean, Martina Ruch, she lost 1 or 2 meters there by taking every step, and Ananeri is jumping over 1 step. It's just a small thing in the running technique here. Ruch is losing some time.
So too is Vinogradova.
No.
No, that's an extra control. That was a control. And now she's dropped off the pack, but it looks like Benjaminsen, I think, in the lead. Benjaminsen, who had a good set of runs in Norway a couple of weeks ago.
Benjaminsen, Neri and Biesmo, but we're not really sure if Biesmo has all the controls on her
I'm
option.
not sure that Biesmo, I think she punched the blue number 7, and I think she's got, I wrote down that she's got the C, which is the green one. Anyway, they're coming around this building now with only 2 more controls to go. We'll see them pass in front of where we are outside the Expo building, and we can say that it is Benjaminsen looking good in the lead, then Emma Biesmo, then Irina Nyberg, then Martina Ruch, then Anna Neri, who's leading so much the way, but that's a mistake into the fountain. Let's have a look on the pictures. They're just coming into the building now. So Benjaminsen takes it ahead of Emma Biesmo with Irina Nyberg in 3rd. And Martina Ruch there and Anna Neri in 5th or 6th, 5th place. We've still got Vinogradova to come. So Andrina Benjaminsen takes it on the line. Emma Biesmo in 2nd, but I think we're going to have to get the check on that one, because from what I saw of what she chose, it was a different option.
We will get to know it very soon. Let's hope for the best.
So Emma Biesmo there took the 2nd, and that is brutal for Anna Neri, who was looking so good throughout that race.
Here she is on the result list at least.
I think we need to check that one. Anyway, she's marked through at the moment, which means that the lineup for the final: Tove Alexandersen, Judith Wider, Carolyn Olsen, Sabine Hauswirth, Andrina Benjaminsen, and Emma Biesmo. This is how it happened, though. All of them sticking together this time into control number 1, with Anna Neri leading the way here. And then this decision-making before the course even started playing its role, as we saw 3 of them take B, which was the blue one, and 3 of them take C, which is the green one.
Now let's take a look at the next control. So there we have her. Looks as if she's going to the blue. Well, for me it looks. I'm still not very convinced.
It was, yeah. Because she came further north, going into 7, it looks like.
But I'm sure we will get to know. So,
yes, I'm sure we will. And so we'll move on very soon to the men's semi-finals, and this is the course map. Can you talk us through it, Jonas?
Yeah, we will have the same route choice here to the first control. We have seen that it's a little bit faster, straight. And it's actually the same loop here in the very beginning. We have this runner's option here. It's quite similar, not exactly. And again, we have a green, red and blue option. Let's see what's faster here in the men's class. As we've seen, it's quite crucial. At least it was in the women's class. Let's see if it's as decisive in the men's class as it was before.
So we'll start, of course, with semi-final number 1. Matthias Kiberts, Jonas Leandersson, Gustav Bergman, Jonas Ecker, Martin Hubben, Andreas Kiberts. 2 Swedes and 4 Swiss.
Yeah, I would guess for the Swiss or the Swede in the final.
Really? Well, we see Jonas Leandersson there and Gustav Bergman now. I mean, this is such a tough one to call. Want to make any predictions?
Well, I would guess, I mean, for me, what I've seen before on at the Euro meeting and what I've seen from several decisions made on the last meters, I would make my bet on Matthias Kiberts. But I mean, we have Jonas Leandersson in this heat, we have Martin Hoopman, we have Andreas Kiburtz, all of them have medals from sprint in World Championships, so it's a tough one. It's a tough one. I think it will be toughest maybe for Jonas Ecker. He's not, I mean, he hasn't got the results all the others have in sprint. That's, and I mean, this heat is so strong. That's so more or less what I take into account.
So
and
they've
here we
all
see
chosen C apart from Matthias Kiburtz.
Interesting.
It's going to play out. Yes, as you said, they've all got a medal at the sprint apart from Jonas Ecker and Gustav Bergman, actually. Yep. Yes. Okay, so they begin now, these 4 Swiss and 2 Swedes out into this competition for 7 minutes of intensity. And again, same control to number 1.
It's not exactly the same runner's choice they have here in the men's race, so we can't just say that it's the green or the blue one fastest here. We have to make new.
And I think Jonas Leandersson going to the right of the steps, I think, initially, and none of them have actually made all of this decision. They're looking at this very fine detail in front of the expo centre here, where they've got to go up and down the steps. They have to run around a section that's marked out of bounds. You can just see there with the tape.
Some hesitating here by Kiburtz.
Matthias Kiburtz.
Yeah, sorry. We have both Kiburtz here in the picture.
Running side by side there.
Yeah. It's just Leandersson we don't see. Here he is.
There he is, he's at the back.
So everyone choosing to go straight here, down and up the stairs.
I mean, it's hardly straight, but yes.
It looks more straight on the map than the one around.
It does. But you have to grapple with that. So what, you know, there's steps there, there's canopy, there's out of bounds, there's dark green, there's olive green, and it makes everything confusing. Well, still together as they run through control number 1. And 2 more common controls before they begin the runner's choice. And we've got Matthias Kiburtz on A and everybody else on C. So I think there's fewer controls on A, which is the red one you can see marked, but C, I think it similarly has got, it's just a bit easier to run. You don't have to do as much doubling back. You know, Gustav Bergman leading them out with Matthias Kiburtz, Jonas Ecker.
Also that Martin Hoopman was coming from another direction. There we had also Gustav Bergman running a little bit wrong in the beginning out of the control. You see it maybe here on the GPS. Not really. Had to back some meters. And now they will split up, or Matthias Kiburtz will split up here, maybe.
the other 5 have all got the same, but you know they have not decided. Maybe they have decided that we're all going to choose C no matter what it is, and they can use each other's speed to run. But I highly doubt it, because I mean, as we saw in the morning,
do you think they mix it? They have different letters for the different options, maybe.
Oh, maybe that's a good shout. I don't actually know the answer to that question.
Me neither. But here, at least we have them. 5 of them together. It's one guy missing. It's Matthias Kiburtz.
So here you can see it's all just parkland, it's all just grass, but actually they've got all the sections that are taped off, meaning that you have to run properly around all of the out-of-bounds sections. So here now it's this control on the bottom of the wall, and Gustav Bergman is in there too, so too Jonas Leandersson.
We haven't seen Kiburtz here. Here he is. So it was faster. The
faster
option
to do C.
Yeah.
At the moment.
Of course, there's one more control left.
But those two controls are very close. And actually, but they're splitting up. So Matthias Kiberts is going to the east, but I think he's got control, the red control. Anyway, they come back up here now to control 9/10, and it is Jonas Leandersson in the lead. Two Swedes in the lead, Leandersson and Bergman.
And now it will be a really tough one for Kiburts, for Matthias Kiburts, to come back here, because he is quite a lot behind. A small mistake that might open up again a little bit for Kiburts, but I think he's too late.
Yeah, Kiburts, I think, has made that mistake, and advantage to the two Swedes. What a coup if they both get these two places ahead of 4 Swiss runners. But there's still a few controls left and some running still to happen.
Well, it looks very good for the 2 Swedish runners here. Will they be able to play out 4 of the Swiss at once? Maybe it looks like that.
And then we can see Matthias Kiberts coming back round the fountain there, but Leandersson and Bergman got a gap ahead of Andreas Kiberts, Martin Hubman and Jonas Ecker in that order. They're going to come past our commentary position. We can give you the order accurately from our very own pairs of eyes. So we've got Leandersson in the front, and he's about 10 metres ahead of Bergman, but Martin Hubman is racing well in this last section. And in 4th place, Andreas Kiberts, Jonas Ecker is out of it, and Matthias Kiberts we still haven't seen past us. So they go around the corner and into the finish, and it's the 2 Swedes who take it. Jonas Leandersson in number 1 and Gustav Bergman in number 2. So out of only 2 nations running in that semi-final, it's the 2 Swedes that make it into the grand final of this knockout sprint. So they've got one more race left today, and all the others, their campaign ends here.
And we can say of the 5 Swiss guys going to the semi-finals, 4 of them are out at once. And now it's only Daniel Hubman left for the Swiss.
And he races in semi-final number 3. So I think there was, first of all, the choice there, and then I think Matthias Kiberts, because he came east and then had to go back down into into below to get to his control number 8. That just cost him too much time, and then by that time he'd lost the
Yeah,
pack.
I think he lost some seconds choosing the wrong option, and plus he lost quite many seconds on this route choice to control 8. It was for him.
Yeah. Let's see what happened though.
Yeah, we'll probably see it here. He had this red control 8 there, and he was running around to the right, following some of the others, and I think he loses quite a lot of time doing that.
So Martin Hubman was the one to go the different way around to control 2.
So here they're all together still, backing out again. I think that's, yeah, it's okay, but he will lose. I mean, here he lost some seconds, and now he's choosing to go to the right, and I think he has to go to the, and here he loses a lot of time. So it's, the tail is 15 seconds, and now here he's just taking a chance running around. Yeah, that was a risk he had to take to to maybe get closer, but it didn't pay off, so almost half a minute he is late to make it to the final here.
You know, number 5, red number 5, is really deceptive because you have to go back in yourself, and it's on the end of that short little paved section, short little track. So I think that's really difficult to see that in the moment when you're doing those 20 seconds of checks. Anyway, we now move on to semi-final number 2. And here we'll see Øystein Karl Østerbø, Yannick Michels, Robert Mell, Max Petter Bema, Gunnar Umsen Kirschbaumer and Marek Minar contest for only 2 spots straight through to the final.
We have 2 real sprint specialists here in this heat, Øystein Karl Østerbø and Yannick Michels. Michels, actually they have something common. Both of them missed an individual sprint medal by less than a second in their career. Øystein Kvaal Østerberg, I think in Trondheim 2010 and Yannick Michels this year.
This year, yeah.
Very close to get a medal, beaten by a few tenths of a second by Andreas Kiburtz.
Indeed. So there'll be two we are looking to watch on this second semi-final.
See Max Peter Beimer, fastest moustache in the orienteering world.
So we could get another Swede into the final with this one. As so with 1 minute, no, maybe 2 minutes to go, they line up in the order. There's Øystein Kvaal Østerberg in number 1, very experienced sprinter, and second there, Yannick Michels, winner of his heats, looked very strong this morning in the quarterfinal. Robert Mell, one of 3 Austrians to get through.
They're very, very good friends, Øystein Kvaal Østerberg and Yannick Michels, training a lot together, traveling a lot together. And the medalist in the long distance at the European Champs, Gernot Kerschbaumer.
And then one of 2 Czech runners in the semi-final, for the men's semi-final. Marek Minar, I think, in a 3rd spot in his qualification. Okay, and they get their 20 seconds now for the choice here. And we saw from the first semi-final that C was faster than A, but nobody chose B. I think A, that middle control is really deceptive. Number 5.
I mean,
really
it's so many turns you have to do, and it's more difficult to execute, and you don't really. I mean, you can keep full speed if you choose option C. You never have to more or less change direction, so you have to stop and back off again. So I think that's a big advantage of option C compared to A. And we have C here already. Yeah, we have many C's here. Michels, Merl, Beimer, Kerschbaumer. And we have an A and also a B.
Okay, so only a few seconds now. They've done some of their orienteering already by making that decision, but now the route goes, and Yannick Michels, fast out of the start, can get ahead of the rest of the field at this point. Now they've got some decisions to make on the way to control number 1 again. All of them heading up the stairs. You've really got to be well practiced at stairs on this course, and now they split up, and in fact, so that's Marek Minar making that decision to go around and then dragging all of the rest of them, or most of the rest, all 6 of them go around here. So, and as you said before, with choosing the straighter option, you really want to stick as a pack here. You don't want to make that risk so early on in the course.
I mean, if as the last runner there, if you see that the 5 guys in front of you run around, there's no way you choose to go straight.
And you think the men are more likely to stick together than the women, because we did see on the middle semi-final that the women split up to this control.
But now all of them get some time to prepare the coming legs, the coming controls.
Looks like from our GPS tracking, Michels is taking the fastest speed here.
I mean, on the other hand, if you would have chosen to go more straight there, I call it a straight option now, you would have had an advantage later on in the course when you go back and get to control number 11.
That's true.
Because now no one of them has been running there in the stairs up and down, so it will be all new for them.
That's very true. So 2 and 3, and then the athlete's choice plays out. Yannick Michels from Belgium leading the way at the moment. He's also second in the sprint at Euro meeting, incidentally.
We see that he is pushing hard here. Lost some time though. He was in front when he left the control number 1. Kerschbaumer. Lead here. So now they will split up.
If you're wondering what that building is, it's the planetarium, apparently.
So, as we knew, Øystein Kval Østerbø with B, Michael Smerl, Max Peter Beimer, Geno Kerschbaumer with C, and Marek Mina with option A.
So you can see Østerbø going to option B there on this fence corner. And Marek Mina also reversing there, but you see by the time he's gone all the way around this corner, the others are so much further ahead, and Mikkel's leading that group there, having chosen C. It's just a bit of a maze here. And now they'll take that sharp corner and do that, punch their control number 6. And now they will group back up together. We can see 4 of them that have chosen option C.
And we see that, as expected, Marek Mina, he has a tough time there to keep contact because of the option he chose.
Yeah, and I think Øystein Kval Østerbø now 7 seconds down as well. But then it's still important, you know, which way you go around this section here for the last control. And then again, yes, you can see they've split up with most of the runners. They're going for the green one. Mikkel's run past the gate.
Yeah, he did a mistake there.
And they're both going for the green control number 9 that we can see on the picture, which gives you, again, a good route up into control 9-10, where they group back together. Max Peter Beimer also has C, the green one, and then here we can see them back out again into the running.
And you see that Michels, he managed to catch those meters again. Not very unexpected. I mean, he's one of the strongest runners in the field. Yeah.
So now they'll go to past this section where they haven't been yet. So there we see Yannick Mikkels going to run all the way around the fountain, and I think that's because they haven't been there before. They're just seeing that as the easiest option. But we've seen actually them split up at this point, so it's about who makes this one fastest.
Let's see there if anyone is coming from the right side.
No, so playing it safe here seems to be good. And it's Yannick Mikkels, the 2 Austrians there as well. Max Peter Beimer in 4th, and
Kerschbaumer, he lost a lot of time here on this part of the course. And very soon we'll see who...
So they're going to pass us very shortly. Let's see who is in the lead. Looks good for Yannick Mikkels on the GPS tracking. Let's have a quick look what's going on. Mikkels is looking good. So too Robert Merl, and Østerbø is also chasing there. Robert Merl just cutting in front. They've now got to go around the fences, and we're going to see them very shortly into the finish. Yannick Mikkels takes the win. Robert Merl for Austria in 2nd. Øystein Kval Østerbø in 3rd. Max Peter Beimer in 4th place for Sweden. So that was a pretty tight one in the end, certainly between those top 3, really having to give it their all on this final section. So Yannick Mikkels takes the win there. Robert Merl in 2nd place. And we can see there Kerschbaumer in 5th. And there's Marek Mina from the Czech Republic in to make it the round 6.
Yannick Mikkels z Belgie, tedy první místo, těsně za ním Robert Merl z Rakouska. To jsou 2 postupující.
Didn't really see where Kerschbaumer lost a lot of time. It must have been between control 9 and 10, or depending on which option he had before, but at least the one down to the fountain.
Let's see if we can see it on the tracking here. And they all decided to go round. First of all,
the first thing we will see is that Minar is losing quite a lot of time running the red option. That's more or less where he lost the race here and got out. So then we had 5 runners left fighting for the 2 positions in the final. And also Österbø, he lost some meters there. It's hard to say if it's because of the option or because he has to execute it all by himself. And here somewhere, yeah, there we have the mistake by Gernot Kerschbaumer. And again, he actually would have been able to go in there, to run there. So we had more or less 4 runners fighting for those 2 spots in the final, and in the end it was Yannick Michels and Ruben Merl.
So even those small hesitations right at the end making the difference, those are the results from semi-final 2. Yannick Michels in first, Robert Merl in second. They are the only 2 that qualify to the final. They join Jonas Leandersson and Gustav Bergman now in who were the first and second in semi-final number 1. So soon we'll move on to the 3rd and final semi-final. Too many finals. Anyway, Ruslan Glebov, Daniel Hubman, Fredrik Tronchon, John Åkers Osman, Matthias Reiner and Wojtek Kral. And the last of the Swiss hopes to getting into the final, with all 4 of them having gone out in semi-final number 1, beaten by 2 Swedes. And hopefully another tight race here in Prague.
So this is the last semi-final, then we have 2 finals.
Hopefully good for good spectating. It's an odd start-finish place. It's inside. And they start right alongside where they finish, up on this stage where all the crowd can cheer them on as they're introduced. So Ruslan Glebov, silver medalist and a walk long distance from the Ukraine. Daniel Hubman, of course, last of the Swiss hopes, but not a bad one to place all your bets on.
Well, I won't place any bets anymore. Seems that I was wrong all the way so far.
Tronchon from France is there, also from Norway, Jon Åkers Osman. Matthias Reiner, can he join Robert Merl in the final? And finally Wojtek Kral for the Czech Republic.
Probably the biggest hopes for the Czech team. He won a World Cup competition last year in sprint, so he for sure is a good sprint orienteer. So let's see. Well, you can do whatever, but don't choose A. That's more or less the conclusion we got.
I think C is the fastest, B is slightly slower, but not too bad. It ends your race. Let's see if we can figure out. Well, the top 3 choosing C, and then Matthias Reiner choosing A. Wojtek Kral got C as well, and Åkers Osman has got B.
So let's say it will be a tough one for Matthias Reiner.
But I think you've got to say with 5 in the first heat, 4 in the second. I say heat, I mean semi-final. 5 in the first semi-final, 4 in the second semi-final, again 4 in this third semi-final. Choosing C, they're doing a pretty good job considering you've only got 20 seconds.
They are pretty good orienteers.
Oh well, yes, obviously. But they're doing, I think, better than the women's one, where it was a bit more split, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, we have different options in the men's and women's race, so it might be a little bit closer or less difference in the different options. So that might be a reason why we have seen more different options in the women's class.
Yep, and oh, you can see Marcus Osman wanting to head left there, but I think being pulled back by the rest of this group, and it's Frédéric Tronchon from France who leads them out, with Daniel Hubmann there on his heels. Matthias Reiner there for Austria now heading into the lead, and got to get this turning here on the left, which seems to be doing no problem. There's 5 of them I can see there in picture. There we go. There's the Norwegian in 6th place currently. And oh, stopping here for Daniel Hubmann. I think him stopping caused everybody else to stop. Yeah. You really do. When Daniel Hubmann stops, you do have an alarm bell ringing in your head. Have I gone wrong?
You know you have some reputation around you if everyone else stops when you stop. I don't think they would have stopped if I stopped there.
Yes, but when multi world champion stops, then you think about it, don't you? Again, all 6 of them pretty close together at this point. And they head for the final time to the athlete's choice section.
Now we see that Hubmann is going around more to the east there, and we've seen that it's a little bit...
Martin Hubmann did the same.
Yeah, something in the family, but it's a little bit slower, as we've seen before.
Anyway, Tronchon leads the way with Reiner in 2nd place, Wojtek Kral 3rd, Glebov 4th, Osman 5th, and Daniel Hubmann, yep, it was a little bit slower, as you said. And now they go back down here for this, again, the same common control before they split up.
I mean, it's a little bit slower, and then at the same time you have to enter the control where all the others exit it, and it makes it a little bit tougher to just get to it.
Yeah, you really find some traffic.
So now they're splitting up. Matthias Reiner going on the red option, Osman on the blue one, and all the others on the green one. And now we see Hubmann is again choosing something slightly different. Avoiding the turn in the beginning, doing it later on this leg. Let's see if it pays off for him. We have Wojtek Kral. In the lead here, but still there's one more control to come on this different option part. And here again we see that the one choosing the red route, Matthias Reiner, is not able to keep contact to the group.
No, that one really is a damaging decision.
Yes.
There's the Austrian, who was up with some of the others at the top as well, up in the leading group. But now, yeah, we can see them split up, with most of them having the green control, which again avoids the steps. But we know, yeah, Reiner's got the red control, number 8, and
Osman
the
has
Norwegian
the blue
has
one.
the 9, the blue one. But Wojtek Kral looking good here, and him and Frédéric Tronchon are pretty close together as they head up those steps for this final section of common controls. They've all got the same now, and Tronchon, Wojtek Kral, Ruslan Glebov there make the top 3, and then we've got a gap down to Daniel Hubmann. John Marcus Osman in there as well in 5th spot. So let's see where they go here. And they're taking this choice that they've already been through. They've already been through this route. It's familiar to them now. They know they just got to go through the motions, and that's because they came in the opposite direction at the start. So these three now with a gap on the rest of the field, but only two can make it to the final to take those last two spots in the final of this knockout sprint. And it's Frédéric Tronchon from France in first there, and they will cut around this corner, and now it's pure sprinting as they make their final marks there. Daniel Hubman catching up maybe a bit of ground, but it's going to be too much. Let's see, they can make their way around the corner now, and they can be cheered on by their teammates. Let's have a look as they pass in front of our commentary position, and we can give you the order of the runners. And they pass in front of it. It's Wojtek Kral ahead of Frédéric Tronchon. The two of them have got a gap on Ruslan Glebov from Ukraine. So it looks good for Wojtek Kral from the Czech Republic to punch ahead of Frédéric Tronchon. And you can hear the crowd. They know that their man is going to cross that line in first place. And alongside Frédéric Tronchon, Wojtek Kral they are the two who take the spots in the final. Ruslan Glebov in third, Daniel Hubman in fourth. Chris Osman in fifth spot there, with still Matthias Reiner. Damage again caused by choosing the A option is going to make a home for sixth. So Wojtek Kral for the Czech Republic, 6 minutes 15, takes that spot for the Czech Republic.
I think Hubman, he lost it twice by taking small different route choices. I mean, he lost some seconds first going to the second control. We'll see that. Choosing to go a little bit more to the east around the planetarium. And then also he chose something else from the, let's see, from the fourth to the fifth control. Going around to the right there again, and I think he was just a little bit behind the group all the time, never really got up in the fight, and it all started here. That's my feeling. But impressive run by Wojtek Kral, very nice to see for the home crowd as well. Stable performance there. And here we see how Matthias Reiner is just losing time. I mean, it's kind of brutal, but that's how it is with this new format and with this new system.
Yeah. That's what happens when you put 6 runners in a mass start. ask them to choose an option, and we'll see how it plays out. So we can't talk too much about the final yet, because our quarantine hasn't closed. It closes in about 9 minutes, so we'll have to keep fairly stum about that until the courses are revealed on the screens here. But a course that they'll have been expecting?
I mean, they didn't know about the forking system, and they had it in the morning already. So my feeling is that they expected the organizer to more test different things and maybe choose one option, one of the semi-finals or one of the finals without any forking, one with maybe a butterfly, one with this, I mean, all of the different systems. And now they had this runner's choice twice. I'm not sure if they expected that. But of course, they didn't know that yesterday, so they could prepare this map with the runner's choice anyway. It's hard to prepare though. Otherwise, I'm quite sure they knew where it will be. It's not a very big surprise when it comes to terrain and route choice. Maybe they didn't expect it to have so many tapes out from the organizers. That's always a thing hard to predict. But otherwise, I mean, it's a sprint. It's a knockout sprint. Many of them have been running that before, maybe not in a long time, but still. And I mean, it's more or less the results. It's not, we have some, of course, surprises. For me, a very big surprise is that Matthias Geburts lost so much time. But otherwise, no Swiss in the final. That's kind of a surprise. And now we see the sprint final for the women, and it's more or less the same area, but it will be much more complicated to follow. We have this first loop, then an arena passage, and then we actually got a butterfly. And notice this is multi-level there. So, for example, control number 5 and 8 more to the left. That's one level up. So you can just run in there. We have seen some pictures from the area before around the fountain. It's good that the runners know how it looks like there on the southern loop between 5 and 6. But then they go back at control 10. There will be 3 times. We will have some kind of systems with graphics, so we know which runner has been there how many times. And from control number 10, it's a very easy and very short loop back to the finish, as we have seen it in the semi-final. So it will be kind of a challenge to follow it, but let's see.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. So they're going to go past this 4, 7, 10, 3 times, and we'll get a graphic, to know how many times they've passed that. When it's all 3, we know that the butterfly loop has evened itself out, and they've only got that final section to go.
And the very tricky part in this course, in my opinion, is it's hard to imagine to get a picture in your head how fast the different route choice options are, because you have so many stairs and stairs. I mean, this stair here is little bit more flat and more easy to run than another stair you have up the building from the backside, and that influences how fast you can run downhill or uphill. You're usually slower taking stairs when you're running down. It slows you down more than it slows you down when you run uphill. So there's so many factors you have to take into account. So
yeah, as you can see, you can avoid some of these stairs going up this down this slope here, but it's a long way round.
It's a downhill. You have no stairs. That's very good.
Yep.
But then you turn to this stair here. It slows you down. But on the other side, if you take the other route choice, we'll see that later. It's an even steeper stair, and then it's even slowing you a little bit more down. But it's hard to see on the map. It's tricky. You have to use the knowledge you got from the semi-final, that's for sure, because you have been here, you have seen the arena or all the area here. The question is how well they can play it out the second time they are in here, and if they are prepared for this multi-level orienteering, as we see. Here, I don't think blue, in my eyes, even if it's quite fast, that's no option for me, because the stairs in the middle, it's like a curve is there. You run up there, it's very steep. I don't think that's a good option. I would go for the green one here if I would have to pick.
Yeah, I think the red one it's not actually any further, and there's no climb.
Yeah, but I mean, they draw the line here over this
over the seating,
over the steps, over the seats, and as we only have seen Sabina Hauswirth running over the seats, so you have to put some more meters on this route there, and then it's, let's say, 250 meters compared to 230 meters. 230 meters, quite easy to execute. I would go for the green one.
Yeah, those steps that we were talking about, the curvy steps. There's that you're going up 2 flights of stairs. It's like 2 whole stories that you're going up at least on there. And
it's actually the top of the building we see here now. That's the stairs leading up there.
But they've been prepared for these levels as well.
Well, I mean, they've known the area. They have been talking about it in the team leaders meeting. I haven't been there. I don't know what information they got, but I think at least at one part in their preparation, they had this in mind, that it's a possibility to go up there.
Yeah, and the image of the steps and what particular symbol that was going to be was all on. That was online. We could see that on the bulletins. Anyway.
But we have seen I mean, we have seen hesitating to the first control in the semi-final. I'm really sure we will see much more hesitating in this final here. And it's all about having, be cool in your head, execute it well, take your time to read your route all the way. And if you're not prepared to stop and read the map, I think that's a winning concept today, actually.
So that's the start list. Judith Wieder, Tove Alexandersen, Sabine Hassett, Caroline Olsen, Andrea Benjaminsen, and we should say Emma Biesmo finished in her heat second, but as we thought she might have been disqualified for a wrong control just before the similar ones again, and yeah, we can see that. Is Judith Vida on the start line? Or have they been...
Yeah, I've seen her.
Oh, they've been switched. Oh, I was going to say they're not in the order that they... Of course, they're not in the same order that they finished.
Yeah, we see the marks there. The cameraman left on her shoulder.
Yeah.
But we don't know. Maybe the cameraman has some as well.
Maybe they do. So Sabine Hauswirth there. And then Irina Nyberg was the Russian who came in when Emma Biesmo was disqualified for that wrong control. So finished third in her heat, but was advanced due to that disqualification. Of course, you have to get all the controls. It goes without saying, really, doesn't it? So those 6, and then we'll be looking for a gold, a silver, and a bronze here from these 6 athletes. 6 of them will go home with medals. 3 of them will go home with medals. 3 of them won't.
Now at least they know there's no runner's choice at this part, because there's nothing to choose for them. So they know about this forking system being out in the final.
They know there is a forking system. They don't know what it is. They don't know that it's the butterfly, but they know
actually
that they had
even no forking as one option for a forking system in the information they got them beforehand. So they don't really actually know if there is a forking or not, because it also counts as a system to not have any forkings.
So now we can see the 2 Swiss women taking the lead there. Judith Vida on the left and Sabine Hassett on the right. Then the 2 Swedes, Tove Alexandersen in there first, and just a little hesitation there from Judith Vida. Now this is where they've really got to make the right decision.
And it's a very easy start here. I hope they will take some time to start to prepare the coming controls, because, well, it's not that easy to get everything in place when you're running.
So they've all gone round to the right, but I think we saw Alexandersen just got in front of where we are. She's going around to the north and going the longer way around, but actually she's avoiding the climb there. We can see on the GPS tracking. Alexandersen actually should have, if she was doing that route choice, she should have headed the other way out of control number 2. She's giving herself a little bit more distance, and we can see the others already are going up these stairs, led by Vida and Hauswirth again.
And I mean, according to the GPS, she was...
I think she climbed the crossable wall. Some of that is uncrossable, and some of that's crossable. I think she.
Yeah, the very end of it.
Yeah, the very end is crossable. But yes,
but anyway, she loses time there.
Yeah. So I think we'll see them through the building, possibly, as they take this route choice here. And, yeah, there we go. Judith Vida through first, Sabine Hauswirth second, Carol Olsen in third, and Tove Alexandersen, that route choice to control number 3. There we go.
Actually, I think I was wrong before. They had a map change there, so they were not able to prepare the coming controls, I think. So, but now they have everything on the map. Not everything, but a part of it, the coming part. So now it will be tricky for them.
Yeah, it'll be very tricky for them, and they're going to go to this common control. So they go to this control 3 times, and we're going to see almost like biathlon when so it changes colour each time they go through the control that they'll go to 3 times. And this one you can see 4, 7 and 10, because they do have the butterfly loop here. They can go the western loop first or the southern loop first.
And we see that Alexandersen, she lost quite a lot of time there. I would guess 10 seconds maybe, already behind. But there is for sure an option to close that gap again, because it's gonna be very tricky now. So now we have this camera on top of the balcony. So we get an overview, and we see there the graphics for the runners being there at control 4. They have different options now, different loops of this butterfly. We see that Judith Wieder is choosing to go up the stairs to the north. Caroline Olsson is going to the south, avoiding some of the stairs. Of course, there are some as well, but not as steep as the ones Vida was taking. Actually, that's the one we see there to the right.
Yeah,
so there's
so
some
Vida
turns.
and Nyberg both took those ones.
Nice to see a picture of it. And see that Wieder and Olsson were more or less together at that point. We see also here now for the second time Hauswirt, Benjaminsen and Alexandersson. So that means that their loop was faster, I would guess, because we haven't seen a mistake by Olsson, Wieder and Nyberg. Here they come. Meet each other here. Almost a crash again with the cameraman.
Taking the stairs a couple at a time. Alexanderson there. We saw hesitation from Hauswirt at that control number 7, and that's we've seen that in the semi-final as well, just her being extra careful to get that right. And see Benjaminsen and Hauswirt going up the ramp there to control 8. Their control number 8. Vida and Olsson again into the first control for their forking section, with Nyberg now behind in that group.
And that's what I talked about, this part there where Vida and Olsson are at the moment. They have seen it in the semi-final, so they are familiar with that. That's quite steep stairs, especially if you have to run down. So very soon
we'll see them at control 10, and here is Judith Vida. She's punched there just ahead of Caroline Olsson, and they are the first two to get to this control number 10. They are, in fact, they are clear from the rest of the field at the moment. Where's Alexandersson coming around this corner? We've got Benjaminsen and Alexandersson there. They're going to fight it out for the bronze medal position, but they've only got 2 more controls now into the final section. Hauswirt there in 5th after some more hesitation on her course. They're going to pass in front of us. Judith Vida passes us with a gap ahead of Caroline Olsson. Both of them are fighting hard. A collision here somehow. Not sure what happened, but Alexandersson and Benjaminsen, in something happened there. They're fighting it out for the bronze medal, but back in the finish, we should be seeing both Vida and Olsson. There they go. They've just crossed the line to take 1 and 2. So Judith Vida takes the win with Caroline Olsson in 2nd. We're going to see, I think we'll probably see Alexandersson in for the bronze medal.
Here she is. My guess is that they were very well prepared for this multi-level orienteering here, because no hesitation at all as far as I've seen. Of course, they have been there in the semi-final as well, so they knew what to expect, how it looks like. That makes it a little bit easier, but still, I mean, that was kind of impressive that they get through it without any bigger hesitation. We also saw that the different route choices, it didn't really matter a lot. I think we saw that on the one loop we had Vida going on one option and also on the others, and it was exactly the same.
It's just about having that high speed. I think we saw Sabine Hauswirt hesitating before the loop with the levels, and lost maybe 3 to 5 seconds there, I think. This was, I have no idea what happened there, whether that looks like they just crashed into each other. Well, Alexandersson was the quickest to recover. Anyway, these are the final results. Judith Vida just 1 second ahead of Caroline Olsson, and Tove Alexandersson into 3rd place. This marks Judith Wieder's actually first win of this year.
I would also guess that the course planner expected them to be a little bit slower because it was a very short final, only 6 minutes. We will see a slightly longer course in the men's final, but my guess is that even the men's final will be quite a short one.
Quite a fast one, indeed. Well, this is the fountain they've been running round, so we can say, yep, Judith Wieder, that 1 second win, she just had a great speed, and that's speed that she showed all the way from the European Championships this year. And this, I think that was really what was needed, that speed endurance, being this being the 4th race of 4. That route choice from Tove Alexanderson really put her in a bad spot from the outset, and she was doing a good job, I think, of catching some of those up. Again, a little hesitation on it seems like on the actual control, maybe just losing. I think just losing contact with the GPS as they go through the building, but it was having to fight hard around the rest of the course just from that route choice.
Yeah, and now we see that Wider and Olsson, they're splitting up to control 5, and I got the feeling that it didn't really matter very much what you took. Yeah, maybe a little bit faster, the option Wider was taking. We can for sure say that the first loop, or the loop more to the south, is faster. But it doesn't help you as a runner. I don't think you know if the others have been at the control or not. You just have the overview over the other runners on the same loop as you are.
It's all about doing your own race, owning your own route choice decisions and really getting it going. And that's, I think, been pretty good for this sprint, knockout sprint final. So we'll go to the flower ceremony. So we saw in 3rd place there, Tove Alexanderson for Sweden. 2nd, Caroline Olsson. I think it's her first individual silver medal at the World Cup stage. Yep, it's her best result for an individual in the World Cup round. And the first place, her first win of this year, it's Judith Wider.
Yeah, she was performing very well during the whole day, I must say. Very good in her heat, and then also in the quarterfinal, semi-final and final. There's nothing to complain about here.
Absolutely nothing. Well, I remember she won her quarterfinal by 15 seconds, and that's over such a short distance really is a lot, and that I think just shows what her speed is. It's a shame we don't have Maya Alm here with us. I think still recovering from concussion, but anyway, she's not with us. But
and I mean, the same thing is actually, I would say, about Caroline Olsson very well the whole day. Tove, she was, if I remember right, not winning her heat, at least in the first qualification. So, I mean, I have to look for a difference compared to the other 2 runners. But it's, I mean, all 3 of them were big favorites on beforehand. So in that matter, it's not a very big surprise. The top 3 here.
Yeah, and 2 of those, Judith Wider and Tove Alexanderson, both in the first semi-final. We were speaking about what a stacked semi-final that one was, with possibly three of the medal favourites in that one, with Lina Strand as well. He just missed out. So I think it's that overall performance. You can't. Well, the thing is with the sprint, you can't take it easy on one round because the margins are so tight.
And it's not only the margins. I mean, the first qualification, when you have this individual sprint to actually get to the quarterfinal, it's always a risk in sprint if you take out speed. It's hard to keep up the work when it comes to technique. So I know many of the runners, they don't really want to slow down or like to put in some margin just to keep focused. And it's not that easy to run on 97% instead of 100%.
Yeah, those 3%. It is tricky, and that's why we've seen the winners, the medalists today, have been performing pretty consistently all throughout the day. Now we've still got about 5 minutes for the knockout sprint men's final, but we'll take you through the course map.
Well, the men, they will first run a loop around the houses there. I mean, there's no difficulty in orienteering. Then we have this route choice to control number 4. As we have seen in the women's race. Then again, butterfly. It's not exactly the same as we have seen in the women's race. This route choice is quite interesting, from control 6 to 7 or 9 to 10. You have the option taking twice steep stairs to the north, or to run the more tricky, I call it tricky because it's more detailed, to the south route. And then you go back again to this, like the control you attend 3 times at, 5, 8 or 11, and then you have the 2 last controls, no problems at all, my guess, on the last 2 controls. I would say we'll see a fast race again, and not very much longer than the 6-7 minutes we have seen in the women's class.
Yeah, I think you'll be right there. We'll see Jonas Lianderson, Yannick Michels, Wojtek Kral, Gustav Bergman, Robert Merle and Frederick Tranchon. Let's have a look at this route choice from 9 to 10 or 6 to 7.
I would either go for the blue or the red one. My guess is that the green one is too long, especially now. I mean, it would be something else if we would have this like isolated over the day, but we had this section there. We were running, or they were running in the semi-final already. So it's actually, they know exactly where they have to run. So it's just to choose it. And the blue one is a little bit shorter. On the other hand, I think the turning stairs are slowing you down a little bit. I would say the blue one and the red one are quite similar, but I wouldn't pick the green one.
Yeah, I think we saw from the end of the semi-finals that the green one is just too far around when we saw people going that way for the last couple of controls. So, yep, there's our start list, and they're just getting ready with only a couple of minutes left to go. So 2 minutes until the start, and they are getting focused, chatting and whispering some words of encouragement. So we've got the 2 Swedes in here. We've also got Belgium, Czech Republic, Austria and France. So good mix of nations in here on this knockout sprint final. So Jonas Lianderson, the winner, I think, of his semi-final. Yannick Michels starts with number 2. Strong sprinter. So too Wojtek Kral. All the hopes for the Czech supporters. And that's what it's like when you're inside and all the noise can just fill the room. Wojtek Kral starts with 3. Gustav Bergman in number 4. Found some good form at the end of this season. And 5th place. Robert Merle starts with number 5. And finally, to complete this half dozen of runners, it is Frederick Tranchon from France. So no runner's choice this time. They will simply pick their map up from the floor and begin on their chance to get a medal here. 50% chance from these 6 runners. So 30 seconds to the start, and final psyching each other out.
Now we have 10 seconds to start.
So with 10 seconds to go, they can reach down for the map. So it's almost like a sprint start on the athletics line, but there is some navigation to get on with as well. And they're so close together as they head out here for the final of the men's knockout sprint. First time it's been held at a World Cup round. And already they've split up into this control number 1. They'll go one of 2 sides around the building.
But I don't think it will matter that much. It's more or less, should be more or less as long as the other one more to the right. I expect them to be, together here.
But that shows the advantage of running through the control and not having to change the direction, I think.
And I mean, this whole, like all of this first loop, no challenge at all, technically. I mean, it can be a plan of a course planner to get them a little bit tired, but I mean, is that even necessary after 3 rounds you had before? But still, I mean, that plays into the game that they've been running 3 competitions. Now they get a loop with almost plain running, and then they get into the tricky part. And we saw that
Robert
one
Merle
of the
the other way.
was running around. He takes the Alexanderson route choice, but better.
No, he does it better than Alexanderson,
So it will be interesting to see what's faster. I would guess that the group has a small advantage. They will most probably also see the control a little bit earlier, coming from that side.
And those steps aren't the worst steps on the map that they go. They've just gone up now and around the corner. And then we will see them through the arena passage as well. So at control 3, it was Wojtek Kral in the lead, and he still is for the Czech Republic, with Fredrik Tronchon second, Lee Anderson third, Bergman fourth.
You also see that the route choice was not decisive at all. It was exactly as fast as the others there. Robert Mell maybe losing 1 or 2 seconds, but not even last in the pack now. And now they're splitting up.
So you see Wojtek Kral, and he's followed by Fredrik Tronchon. Going the same way is Yannick Michels, this way to round control number 5 that they'll punch for the first of 3 times. And this is how they split up. 3 gone one way, 3 gone the other way. I think you'd fancy the group with Kral, Tronchon and Michels there, I think, simply because they don't have to go up and down the steps.
It seems to be a good choice in my eyes.
Well, we'll see them at control number 5. We've got a camera on the top there, and you can see Tronchon's punch there, so too Michels, and even like far in the left of picture, we saw Kral there too.
And we see that all of the runners who go to, no, not all of them. We see Gustav Bergman is going back up here, the steep stairs or the turning stairs. And the 2 other runners having the same control, taking the same route as we have seen Karin Olsson taking.
Has he got them in the wrong order, Robert Merle? Looks like he's going back to 6. Yeah, the green dot.
Yeah, something is strange there at least, or he was just taking the route to the right, but that seems not fast at all. I mean, it's fair to say that he lost time there.
So Kral and Lee Anderson, they've punched control 8 in that group, and that's where we saw Merle also had that same forking first, and he's lost the time.
And again, they're splitting up. Bergman is going to the north, where he came from, and Michels and Tronchon, they go to the south, where they came from. So now we get an immediate feedback here on this route choice.
You can see Gustav Bergman climbing the stairs on the other section, the western section, and now it's going to be close between all of them. They'll meet back up at this control number 10.
Seems that there's an advantage for Tronchon and Michels. Yes, indeed.
And Wojtek Kral is on his way to control number 10 as well, taking the slightly more direct route, the one that they're all quite familiar with. Here he is now, going to control number 10. And you can see the different forking, such that this is the group who've taken the longer forking first, just punching, I think there. I think we saw Mikkel's punch there as well. Yep.
So now when they come the next time here, they can leave out from that control, and then there are just 2 controls left. So let's see who is coming back first.
So Tranchemont, Bergman and Mikkels have the shorter forking now, and we can see Kral and Lee Anderson on the top of the building. Kral again looks like he has the advantage there, as now he will go down and they will all regroup at control number 11, and that's where we will really see what's happening.
So we see them coming from the right and from the left, and it looks as if Wojtek Kral is in the lead there, and he's looking very strong. Just behind him we have Jonas Leandersson, and also second Swedish runner Gustav Bergman coming from the other direction.
So Wojtek Kral in the lead, 2 seconds ahead of Leandersson, and then Bergman as well, and they're going to run. He's going to run past our commentary position with Wojtek Kral for the Czech Republic in the lead at the moment. There you can see Leandersson chasing, and Bergman is there as well, but Wojtek Kral looking very strong with a good lead. Leandersson there in second. We're looking out for the place in bronze medal, and then it's Gustav Bergman going past with Tranchemont and Mikkels chasing too, but Wojtek Kral from the Czech Republic crosses the line to take his second overall gold medal in the World Cup, takes the win here in Prague on his home soil, with Leandersson second, Bergman third, Tranchemont fourth, and Mikkels in fifth. But Wojtek Kral for the Czech Republic will be going home with a gold medal around his neck, and what a great performance for the athlete that's had a lot of expectations on him, I think, from the Czech orienteering community.
What a great performance indeed. Not only here, but also in the races before. But I mean, here he was just, there was no problems at all. He was very focused. He was almost all around in the lead. And I mean, it's kind of, I mean, you could feel it at the start, and he was just smiling when he got the support. But at the same time, it's not only, of course, that's a good feeling, but it's some kind of pressure as well. But I'm really convinced that he could turn this pressure and all this support into like positive energy, and that at least on the last meters, when he got the feeling now there's my chance, that it gave him some extra power there.
Yeah.
And I mean, Leandersson is a very fast runner, so it's not that easy to just keep those 2 seconds or even increase up to 3 seconds on a plain running section as we had it here in last, let's say, 300 meters. I mean, yeah.
He took the initiative early on, and that's really what you want to see, even when they got split up so much.
Yeah. And I would say the whole final here was very nice, because we didn't have this. I never got the feeling that anyone is just following others and hoping for a chance to get, to just pass someone on the last meters. You really got the feeling that all 6 of them, they wanted to orienteer, they wanted to do the work, and they wanted to find the fastest way from one control to the next one, no matter what the others are doing. So I think that was a good competition. It was nice to follow, and in a way, it's very nice with a victory for the Czech Republic on the home soil. I think that's good for the crowd here as well.
Yeah, well, to build on your point there, if we remember back to the prologue and pursuits at the World Cup Round 3 in Norway, where we saw 14, 15 men all racing for the line, there wasn't, because there wasn't any forking, and there wasn't that many difficult controls at the end, they weren't taking risks, they were just sticking together. But whereas this really forced everybody to do their own orienteering.
But at the same time, I mean, the whole race is different. If you take a risk in this pursuit you were talking about, and you win 10 seconds, there's almost no way that you could keep this gap to a chasing group of 14 runners. But here, I mean, if you open a gap by 4 seconds, there's a chance you can keep that gap all the way into the finish, and that's a difference. So if you take a risk here and you manage to actually get a gap, then you have a good chance to get at least a top 3 position.
I mean, you're talking about gaining a gap. It's also about losing that time. It's so hard to claw that back. Though, you know, we've seen several runners making mistakes in the early part of the course.
Yeah, but of course, if there's something to win, there's something to lose as well. So if to win some seconds, you have to take risks, and every time you take a risk, there's actually a risk that you lose some seconds as well.
Yeah, someone must win and someone must lose if you take 2 different route choices. And
I mean, Robert Mell, he took a risk from the 3rd to the 4th control. Well, it wasn't bad. It didn't pay off, but no damage happened there. Later on, he did a mistake, and maybe he was a little bit too aggressive to the 6th control, where he lost the race. But in his position, I think it was a very offensive race, and he was very attacking in his kind of orienteering, and I like that.
Yeah, I think it shows that you're really pushing it all the way around, and really on top of your orienteering the whole way around. So we have the flower ceremony now for the top 3 here. Before the results are confirmed, they'll get the official medals and everything later on, as has become the norm with these World Cup rounds. So we can say that in 3rd place, representing Sweden, it is Gustav Bergman, who will be picking up his bronze medal later today.
And they continue with very good results here in the Swedish team. We have seen that in World Cup round 3 already, where they dominated the whole weekend more or less, and they just keep on doing that here.
I think there'll be a lot of, well, I think after Norway there'll be a lot of high morale in the Swedish camp. But there should be 2 in the camp of the Czech Republic, because Wojtek Kral has taken the win here on this knockout sprint. The first time it's held on a World Cup stage. And it was a very impressive performance all throughout today, culminating in a brilliant display of super sprint orienteering on this final of the World Cup. So Wojtek Kral, Jonas Andersson and Gustav Bergman complete those top 3. And of course, so if we think what's happening next with the knockout sprint, they'll take, you know, it's still part of really test racing for the world champs in 2020 in Denmark, where it'll be the first time knockout sprint, well, first time there's a sprint world championships. And, you know, I'm sure that there will be lots of feedback from today's event, and the organisers will go through the pros and cons. And but I think it'll be an exciting one to add to the sprint repertoire.
I'm quite sure that they will take it into the competition program. The big question is, what kind of forking system will they use? Is it good that you can lose that much time already before the competition starts or your race starts? How big should the differences be between the different options? I mean, that's something you have to analyze now, and then they will take a decision, I think, within some weeks from now.
But if you just have a look at the men's standings after event number 9, still...
I mean, yeah.
No clear, by a big margin, winner, leader on this on the men's standings, at least.
It was quite good for Olav Lundenes that both Matthias Kiburz and Daniel Hopman didn't have their best day. I mean, Hopman made it. Yeah, no one made it to the final of the Swiss. So all 3 of them didn't have a good day, and in the end, that was I'm quite sure that Lundanes is relieved about it. But still, he's quite many points behind. But there's still a chance.
There is still a chance. Now we have women's, I mean, and as before this World Cup final competition, Tove Alexandersson had such a large lead, but now with a bronze medal from today, her lead has only increased after disqualification for Natalia Gempler for Russia in second place. Caroline Olsen, she's, you know, it's reflected in the result there, has had a pretty good season, and her silver medal today is very much a part of that one too. But, I mean, so we've got a sprint relay, a middle distance and a sprint yet to come, then I can't see that changing the leader there on the World Cup. It might actually now be mathematically impossible. I'll have to do the maths at some point. I'll get back to you on that one. Anyway, we'll be back. We'll be back tomorrow with our sprint relay also coming from Prague, and we'll leave you with some pictures from today's race. Bye for now.
Goodbye.